your body keeps the score. Yes, it does. Trauma does. Speaking of trauma, this is what Jackson, I'm just going to read a couple of excerpts from him. So the way what Jackson says about trauma, which is so critical to understand. He says, traumatized individuals complain about strange sensations in their body, numbness, tightness, emptiness, nothingness, wholeness, unable to describe or understand these feelings. They go to therapy, okay? So again, traumatized individuals complain about strange sensations in their body, numbness, tightness, emptiness, nothingness, or hollowness, unable to describe or understand these feelings. They go to therapy. And they tend to focus on the resulting behavioral and psychological issues: people-pleasing, depression, perfectionism, mood swings, isolation, excessive daydreaming, need for control, resentment, rumination, caretaking, substance abuse, and the list goes on and on and on. And it's unique to each individual. Recovery in therapy, talk therapy, and traditional therapy, recovery becomes more about the symptom management, right? Recovery becomes more about the symptom management than the root cause resolution. It's akin to putting out buckets of water every night to catch the leaking rain, rather than fixing the hole in the roof. Eventually, the buckets become full, so you're running around finding new buckets and emptying old buckets, feeling more exhausted with every passing day. This is the nature of trauma. It keeps you distracted with bucket management, so you never have a chance to look up at the roof. So what happens in trauma, and most of us that have trauma, most of us that struggle with trauma, don't even realize what we struggle with, right? Because we have sensations that we don't like. We have feelings that we don't like, and then we have behavioral symptoms that we do, right? And so we go to get help. We go to traditional therapy. We go to traditional counseling, and they say, "Oh, you have a behavioral problem, right? You the way you behave. We need to fix the symptoms. We need to fix the behavior," not understanding that you have underlying causes and underlying issues. So the underlying causes and the underlying issues is why I call them manifestations, right? It's why the manifestations are coming up in your life, right? And the manifestations is anxieties, depressions, borderline personality disorder, bipolar, manic depressive, all of the diagnoses that we want to put on ourselves, right? That the doctors and the therapists and the psychologists, they want to put on ourselves, right? So we go look for a diagnosis, and then we get into symptom management. And so we run from one therapist to the next, trying to manage all the symptoms, or we pop pills, or we eat, we try to stuff it away, we try to smoke it away, we try to get a high away, we try to drink it away, we try to sex it away, we try to relationship it away, we try to do all these things to get ourselves away from the symptoms, not knowing that the very thing that we're doing is causing more damage. So the way you got to look at this kind of stuff is you got to know that that typically the manifestations in our life come from deeper seated issues, and those deeper seated issues are typically rooted in trauma. And so. I'm sorry, I was asked in therapy if I was exaggerating my problems and feelings to make myself. My God. Oh, my man, therapist. Oh, jeez. So I'm not here to bash therapists. But a lot of work that they do is symptom management, and you're not healing the root cause. You're not looking deeper. You're not going deeper. You're not going into the root causes, which is typically around trauma. And so when you start looking at and working on those deeper seated issues, and you start healing and working through the feelings associated to those deeper seated issues, you get out from the symptom management of it, and then you stop trying to navigate the waters of the behaviors that we do. So again, this book, let me give you another insight to it. Let me give you another highlight. So a lot of us, guys, man, you gotta get this book, man. Please, just get it. Hold Again by Jackson MacKenzie. Outrageously good book. There's a whole what happens with us in trauma is we are dealing with a couple of things in our life. And the reason why a lot of us don't heal is because, first of all, we go to people that don't know what the hell they're doing. And since they don't know what the hell they're doing, they oppress you by having you talk about your story, right? Because we're all locked into our story. We all know our story inside and out. And so we all talk about our story. And so they get you locked into your story, which is oppressive. It's not healing. So really a lot of the work that we do with these people is a form of oppression. But having said that, if you guys can keep your questions to a minimum, I'll get to your questions here in a second. Since there's not a lot of people online, which is a good thing. I typically have a couple of hundred people on, so this is a good thing. There's only 16 of you. But we get into these, what we're dealing with really is kind of these three phases of ourselves. There is a adult side of us, the rational side of us. There's a inner child of us. There's the hurt, the inner child, and then we're dealing with the protective self side of us, right? And the protective side of us, this is a really good indication of what the protective self looks like. So this is a snapshot of the protective self. So what happens is, since we have a wounded heart, we look for external measures of worth, and then you got the protective self guarding your heart, because what we do is we have a behavior problem, right? So, oh shoot, hold on. So we have a wounded heart, and then what we do is we have a wounded heart, right? If you want to change a behavior, you don't change your behavior by working on the way you think. You change your behavior by healing your heart. How do you heal your heart? You heal your heart by removing the protective self. As you start to remove the protective self, right, you won't look for external factors to give you worth, right? And so what I love about what he describes is the same thing that I really talk about in my coaching. I've been doing this for about 7-8 years now. What's external measures of worth? So when we don't understand our worth, when we have what I call self-worth anxiety. When we struggle with self-worth anxiety, we look for external factors to give us our worth, to tell us that we are worth something, because we have a self-worth anxiety. We struggle with our self-worth. Why do we struggle with our self-worth? Because we've had our beliefs about our self-worth are pretty much, they come from trauma. And so if we've been traumatized in ways that trauma in our life affects us the way we believe, since it affects us the way we believe, we typically have a wounded heart. Now, what's external factors? What's some external factors of worth? Accomplishing things like projects, work, making money, social media validation, how many followers you have, how many likes do you get, attention seeking, approval seeking, validation seeking, diagnosing or labeling yourself or other people, being overly nice is externally focused. People pleasing, perfectionism, obsessing about who's wrong or who's right, exposing those who are wrong, stalking and cyberstalking, alcohol, stimulants, depressants, sex, overreacting, overeating, undereating, fantasies or daydreaming, revenge or justice fantasies. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we all look for this external factors to come into our life to validate us, because we think that who we are is what we do. And the fact of the matter is we're not what we do. And I have a saying that you aren't what you do, but you do who you are. Right? So the way you do life is basically who you are. And so it's a catch on words. It's a little tongue twisting there. But having said that, a lot of us struggle with this self-worth anxiety. A lot of us, you want me to say it again? So you aren't what you do, comma, but you do who, you got me all mixed up. You aren't what you do, but you are what you do. Right? It's a play on words. I get it. I understand it. It's a little bit weird. But basically, if you're a healed individual, if you're a hurting individual, you live out hurt. If you're a healed individual, you live out healing. Right? You live out a life that's healing related, or healing focused rather than hurt focused. And a lot of us are really hurt focused. And so when we're hurting so bad, our life typically gives us what we are. That's why the hurt begets hurt, and hurt keeps on coming. Having said that, a lot of us struggle with this. Let me take off my glasses here until I read some notes. A lot of us struggle with what I call self-worth anxiety. And self-worth anxiety comes from a place of looking for validation that's external of us, right? Because we don't have a true, we don't love ourselves enough to understand that we are worth. Our worth is not based off of this external factors, if that makes sense. We have to get this. This is an internal perspective. We have to know our worth. And it's not based off what we do or external factors, right? We need to find that worth in who we are, right? Not so much what we do. If you have no self-worth, what happens when you have no self-worth is you look for validation in other things, right? You start to look for validation in other things, and when you start to look for validation in other things, it begets itself, right? So you're constantly wanting and needing that validation, and then you become a people pleaser. You tend to want to please everybody. You want to save people, and when you want to save everybody and you want to please everybody, you lose a piece of you in the process. And so when you lose a piece of you in the process, you constantly trying to save everybody else while you're killing yourself in the process. And when you do that, you'll always wind up empty or feeling more empty, because external factors can't give you something that you ain't got for yourself, right? So you need to find that worth within yourself. And how do you find that worth within yourself? You find that worth within yourself by healing and working through the belief systems that cause you to have those types of disbeliefs. Now, those belief systems that we have, they typically are rooted and come from the life experiences in our life, right? So if you've had life experiences in your life where you felt unvalidated, you felt as though you wasn't wanted, you felt as though people didn't want you around, or you were to be seen but not heard, those types of things. Not to even mention the traumas in our life, especially from a childhood perspective. The formable years of our life from a childhood perspective of between 6 and 13, really. And those are the formable years in our life. And so if you come from divorce, if you come from a family that drinks and alcoholism or drug addiction or constant fighting, or this constant riff, if you have wayward brothers and sisters, or you were wayward, right? You have all of this type of childhood trauma, and these traumas that you've come into, right? You've had, I call them life experiences. Some are negative and some are positive. Those life experiences in our life, right? They develop the beliefs in our life. And now we have a belief system, and we look through life through these lenses, right? We look through life through those experiences and those traumas. And then as we look through life through these lenses and these traumas, everything that comes at us typically comes from a negative connotation or from a traumatized situation, right? Because we have the lenses of those life experiences, i.e. traumas. Not everything becomes traumatic, right? Everything is an issue. Everything is hurting. Everything is coming at us through those lenses. And so when you start to heal and you start to work through those lenses, right? Start changing those lenses, start cleaning those lenses, maybe take them off, life becomes a little bit different, right? Life becomes a little bit more clearer, right? And it's not baked into having these experiences, right? The story, so to say, right? Because we're all stuck on the story, right? We're all stuck on that. And so what we need to do is we need to allow ourselves to deal with and work through those experiences. Now, how do you work with and how do you work through those experiences? You work with and through those experiences on the way you feel, right? You have to work on the way you feel, because feeling changes thinking. Thinking doesn't change feeling. You got these flipping gurus and these coaches and these therapists and these counselors and all that kind of good stuff that are trying to get you to change the way you feel on the way you think. And most of us really are our thoughts. And most of us, what people don't understand is most of us have feeling problems, right? It's the way we feel, and those feels are tied to emotions, right? So let me give you a concrete example of this. Let's say you struggle with loneliness. Okay, let's say you struggle with a feeling of loneliness. Loneliness is the feeling. Okay, and since loneliness is the feeling, it's rooted typically in the emotion of abandonment and neglect. Now, the abandonment and neglect are why you feel the way you feel, right? That's the story. Mom did this, dad did that, husband did this, wife did that, boyfriend did this, girlfriend did that, whatever the situation might be. It's rooted in the story, right? But you feel the loneliness. You're scared to be abandoned, right? You're scared to be abandoned, but abandonment is the emotion, right? It's really the feeling that you don't like. It's the feeling that scares you. You say, oh, I'm scared to be abandoned, right? Or I feel neglected, right? And that feeling is really kind of a loneliness type of feeling. Like you feel lonely, right? And loneliness is the feeling. So how do you work through this? You deal with the feeling, right? You sit with the feeling. You allow yourself to feel that feeling, right? Just sit with it, right? Less story, more body. And as you sit with that feeling, that will then allow you to go and deal with the why, right? That will allow you to go deal with the why while working through the emotion. Does that make sense? It's really hard to It's a lot of the work that I do with people is really around feeling work, because I have to get them to sit with their feelings, sit with just that heaviness, that feeling in the gut, that feeling. Jackson puts it really, really well. He's like, less story, more body. So let me give you kind of an indication of where you might feel feelings. Head, throat, neck, shoulders, chest, heart, your core, stomach, pelvis, legs. The sensations that you'll feel, right? So that's basically where you'd feel it, right? It's basically where you would feel it, and then the sensations that you would feel is numb, empty, whole, void, blocked up, bored, hollow, burning, pressure, squeezing, aching, constricted, weak, deadness, tired, missing, those types of things, right? You feel those types of you feel those types of feelings. And so since you'd feel those types of feelings in that body, that's what you have to focus on. Right? That you have to focus on that feeling, if that makes sense. And as you're working through those feelings and feeling those feelings, that will then thereby give you the chance to go work on the why you feel the way you feel. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Sorry, I finished pleasantly awake. That's okay, girl. I can't see anybody right now until probably April anyway. So unfortunately, since you didn't get back to me, I can't see anybody until April. I'm just jammed. All right, what was your question earlier? What was your question? Yeah, whenever you're ready, girl. Whenever you're ready to heal, I'm ready to help. So whenever you're ready. And this was really an impromptu live. I wasn't really gonna. You probably got me maybe 5-10 more minutes. Yeah, sorry about that, Pleasantly Wicked. I wish you would have scheduled some time with me, but like I said, whenever you're ready, you got my calendar invite, so schedule it. A woman who admits to being guarded with men shows interest and plans dates going. A woman who admits to being guarded with men shows interest and plans dates going. I don't know what that means. So feeling the emotions and not acting on them is healing. Not acting on them. Well, first of all, you can't feel what you refuse to. You can't heal what you refuse to feel. That's first and foremost. I don't know what acting on them means. So you need to sit with those feelings. Yes. Just sit. Just allow your body just to sit with them. Just feel them. And when you feel them, and you just allow yourself to feel them, that will hopefully get you to a place where kind of you can start working through the reason why you feel the way you feel, if that makes sense. Oh, here's the book. Take a screenshot of it. If you ain't got this book, physical book, you're missing it. You want to get the physical book. That's my go-to. That's my absolute go-to. I mean, I got highlights upon highlights in this thing. Yeah. The book, I'm telling you, if you couple that, if you get that book and couple that book into the work that I do, oh man, it's some cool stuff, man. Because what I do is he gives you practical. He gives you practical guide on what to do. You're just dealing with your protective self, and so if you can work with someone like me, that can help you sit with those emotions and start working on the why. Very powerful stuff. What's your green bracelet respond? This one? That one? Or this one? This one? So it says, tell your story. All right, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Oh, girl. Oh, Amanda. Amazing Amanda. Hate that not so protective self. Yeah, well, I tried to say, well, no, that was there. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, girl. I've been telling my story. No one's listening or understanding. Yeah, I have quite a few stories. So, like on the hurt. Listen, guys, you guys don't like to hear this, but you have to understand that your healing takes an investment. It takes a monetary investment, it takes an emotional investment, it takes a physical investment, it takes a time investment, it takes an investment in you. And when you don't do those things, you don't put your financial situation, you don't put your finances in your healing, you don't put the time in your healing, you don't put the physical effort in healing. When you don't do that, you are basically telling yourself you are not worthy of healing, right? You're not worthy. You're not worth the work. And since you're not worth the work, then you want to know why you're still angry. You want to know why you're still hurting. You want to know why you still feel the way you feel. It's because a lot of us keep on telling ourselves that we're not worth the work. And so, I did this for 20 years of my life. I went from one thing to the next. I went from one coping mechanism to the next, one thing to the next, one relationship to the next, one this to the next, one that to the next. And I was basically telling myself that you're not worth it. You're not worth the time. You're not worth the effort. You're not worth the money. You're not worth healing. You're not worth it. And then I wondered why I continued to hurt. Right? I continued to live life in such a damaged way. It's because I was not willing to quit smoking. I was not willing to stop smoking pot. I was not willing to quit drinking my alcohol. I was not willing to cut cable. I was not willing to do the things that I needed to do to find the financial means, right, to take that step of healing. Why? Because I really didn't think I was worth it, right? I really didn't think I was worth it because I struggled with self-worth anxiety. So there's a lot of things that you tell about yourself by not doing the things that, when you justify not doing the things that you can do to heal. People don't want to hear that. People don't like that. But that's the reality. That is just the honest truth. But that's what it takes, right? It's that's what it takes. Yeah, and I thought that too, girl. I thought I wasn't worth it as well, and so I would justify why I was continuing to hurt the way I was hurting, for years. And finally, I got to a point where I realized that I needed help. I realized that I needed to get myself out from under this, really because of my wife and kids. And so that kind of was my springboard into really working through my stuff. And I had to put work, time, effort, finances, all that kind of good stuff into my healing. I know you guys don't like that. I know you don't like that truth. I know it frustrates you. I know it irritates you. But it's the truth, and I'd rather point to the truth than steer you wrong. Yeah, see, those are a couple of stories that you guys keep on telling yourselves. See the stories? See the stories that you guys believe? You're telling the stories right now as we go through this. Truth is paid for therapy. No, truth is pay to heal. Pay yourself to heal. That's what the truth is. Truth is investing in yourself to heal. See, you're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it from a totally wrong perspective. You're like, pay for therapy? Well, if therapy helps you heal, then yeah, pay for therapy. The investment is in you. Right? You have to make the investment in you. You're looking at it from a totally wrong perspective. You're like, pay for therapy? Well, paying for therapy is going to help you heal? Yes. Pay for therapy. Yes. Healing is forgiving, allowing the other person the most transgress you. I don't quite understand that question. But you guys can see your guys' story, right? As you're typing this out, you guys can see your story, right? You can see you're stuck in the story, right? The very thing that I talk about is what you're typing right now, right? You're stuck in the story. And we know our stories inside and out. We know our stories, but the story is what's keeping you stuck in life, right? The story is what keeps you stuck, and you got to work yourself out of the story. How do you work yourself out from the story? Is you just allow yourself to sit with those uncomfortable feelings. Right, you can see you guys are typing out your story right now. There's like 3 or 4 of you that are typing out your story, and your story. Listen, healing from our issues is not forgetting, right? It's healing. It's not about forgetting. And so I know my story inside and out. I know my traumas. I know being molested. I know being verbally abused. I know being sexually abused. I know those experiences. Detail. I can smell stuff and it brings me right back. I can go back to those experiences in a heartbeat, but I refuse to allow my story to keep me stuck. I did that for 20 years of my life, and I almost committed suicide from it. And so I'm not living in that story no more. And most of us are stuck on the very thing that we're trying to get ourselves out from. We're trying to get ourselves away from the story, but we oppress ourselves by living in it, right? By talking about it all the time. Everything we justify why we do what we do because of our story. I do this because of this. I act this way because of that, right? So we justify our behaviors based on our story. And then we wonder why we continue to hurt. And we wonder how come I can't get myself out from under this? Why am I so stuck? right? We're so stuck because you justify your behaviors and you justify what you do based on your story. That's the truth. And I'm sorry. That's just the truth. And when you live in the story, it's always going to keep you stuck. Ah, girl, you went back to the stage. Ah, jeez. You let that stage go, girl. I was with you. You let those people go. Why are you looping them in? Why are you roping them back in? Right? You let them go and now you loop them back in. Why? Because we are comfortable in our story. We are addicted to the pain. Should I say it again? Let me say it again so you can write it down. Most people that struggle with their emotions because they are addicted to the pain. Oh, good. Okay. Nice. And you feel comfortable with your story. And since you have a level of comfort in the story, right, you become addicted to the pain. And that addiction to the pain causes you more pain. It causes you more pain. It causes you more pain. And then that's all you feel is the pain, right? It's a constant, perpetual cycle that keeps on going and going and going and going. If you want out of that pain, you got to allow yourself. First step is you can't heal what you refuse to feel. Very first step to healing is feeling. That's the very first step. You got to allow yourself to feel. When you allow yourself to feel, you are starting to validate yourself, right? You're validating yourself. You're validating that pain. You're validating that hurt. You're validating that inner child. You're validating that piece of you that's hurting. So you have to take that first step in feeling. The problem with most of us is that we have this protective self of ours that stops us from feeling. That's why it's important. Listen, you don't have to work with me. This is not about working with me. But I'd encourage you to work with someone that can help you, guide you through the path of just sitting with those uncomfortable feelings. From accountability perspective, by a guidance perspective, by working with you and understanding and how to navigate the waters of sitting with those uncomfortable feelings. That's typically how you got to get yourself out from under this. I wish there was a magic pill. I wish that you could read this book and all the pain would go away, right? All this book is going to do for you is really, it's going to show you why you are hurting, right? It's going to show you a little bit more in depth on some of the behaviors that you have, some of the things that you do, those types of things. But the fact of the matter is, healing is difficult. Healing's hard. But most of us want to manage. Most of us want to learn coping mechanisms. We want to learn how to manage the symptoms, right? We want a symptom management is what we want, because healing sucks, man. And healing hurts, and it's not fun. I'll let them in. All right, give me a second. You guys should still hear me. I'm going to let the dogs in. But like I said, you guys... Sorry about that. Could you still hear me? All right, 5 more minutes. Oh, Deborah's on here? She didn't even say hi. She didn't even say hi to me, Deborah. Ah, you do say hi. You came around. Nice. How long have you been on? Oh, and you had to say, okay, all right. She's been quiet. That tells me she's struggling. When she's quiet like that, that tells me she's struggling. She isolates when she's hurting. So, Amanda, you need to watch out for her because that's what she does. She isolates. That's one of her coping mechanisms. And she doesn't get that only hurts her more. Isolation only hurts more. So Julia, you want to be... Julia, I'm not really sure what you're struggling with, but if I can help you, please reach out to me. Yeah, how do I know... Amanda, how do I know that about her? How do I know that she's struggling? Because she tends to isolate herself. Addicted to the pain. So when you react and push away, I'm hurting myself more. If you yep, you're right. What'd you say, Deborah? Guys, you got to follow my moderators if you don't. Yep, you're right. Bad day again with anxiety attack. Okay. Did my tapping work? So the Irish Stacy. So react and push away. Yeah, if you isolate yourself when hurting, isolation, when you build walls like that, walls don't protect you. Walls isolate you. And isolation always destroys. It never helps. Building and having boundaries, now that protects you. So having proper boundaries in your life will protect you. But walls isolate and they only hurt. So if your coping mechanism is one of those, if you have a coping mechanism that is isolation, that hurts you, doesn't help you. You think it protects you, right? You think that it's protecting you, but it's not protecting you, it's actually hurting you. All right, 5 more minutes. I told her that. Amanda, I told her that. I said go see you for a weekend to get away from the environment that she's in. I'm learning that suppression of feelings lead to depression, so I'm trying to feel my feelings. Yep, that's definitely true, girl. You can't heal what you refuse to feel. You can't heal what you refuse to feel. You'll never feel what you refuse to reveal. So you can't heal what you refuse to feel, and you won't feel what you refuse to reveal. Okay? So you have to, it starts with revealing. Yeah, starts with revealing. Then it starts with feeling, and that will lead you to healing. And if I can help you with that, let me know. I got some great courses, guys. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but I got a trauma course. Well, you won't feel what you refuse to read. Yep, that's right. When I repress my feelings, it overwhelms me. Eventually, it triggers me. My depressive episodes. Yes. Does the trauma make the feelings so overwhelming? Oh, definitely. Yeah, trauma does that. Yeah, trauma will definitely do that. What I would encourage you guys, I know I have a couple of courses out there. If you go to the link in my bio, you can see my courses. Yeah, definitely. R. Bailey, if I can help you, please reach out to me. Right now, I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not seeing anybody new from a one-on-one coaching perspective until probably April. March is already jammed. But I do have some pretty cool courses that I put together. One's a trauma course. The other is a self-worth course. So if you deal with any self-worth anxiety, that's a great course you could take. And then I put together a journaling course. I'm working on a grief course. I'm working on grief. And then I'm putting together another new course this weekend. I don't know the name of it just yet, but it's a new course I'm going to put together for you guys as well. I also have a membership-based site that I'm creating, if you want that membership-based site. And then, not sure if you guys knew this or not, but I am having a free, FREE, free 10-week anxiety care group. If you want to join that, you could probably message me. It's going to be Monday nights from 6:30 to 8 on Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, the journaling course. The journaling course I think is like $27. The trauma course is $97, and then the self-worth one, because that took me a long one to do, and I'm not sure why a lot of people are not taking that yet. But the self-worth one it's a video course, and it's pretty long and it's pretty in depth. A lot of work items, a lot of templates, a lot of stuff that you got to do. It's a great course. So. Oh, hey, girl. Yeah, I'm sorry you and I haven't got together and worked with one another. Hopefully someday when you're ready to heal, I'm ready to help. But that Whole Again book, yeah, the Whole Again's a great book. But my courses are just as good. So if you go to the link in my bio, you'll see, I think it's the second tab where it's my courses. I got a journaling course, a self-worth or self-anxiety course. Great one, and then a trauma course. I'd highly encourage everybody to take the trauma course. And yeah, go out there, and I believe you can use beatanxiety.me as a discount code. Beatanxiety.me as a discount code for that on any of my courses. So I would recommend the trauma course first. I would tell you to take the trauma course first. Then I would tell you to take the self-worth course, and then it would be the journaling course. Is kind of what I would do. That's kind of the lead, because the journaling course is really kind of, after you kind of work through the trauma, you work through the self-worth, you work through the anxiety of yourself. That will lead you into kind of journaling and learning how to write in such a way that's therapeutic. That's what I would recommend. Yeah, links in my bio. Just go out to my bio link and you'll see it. I think it's under my bio link, and I think it says courses or something like that. So and I typically do my lives. This was an impromptu. So I typically do my lives on Saturday morning at 10:30. 10:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. It's typically when I do my lives. And so if you want to catch me there, I'm probably going to go. I'm not sure what I'm going to go over this weekend.